Duh. Hello, everybody, and welcome to MangaPod. We're like a podcast in which I get together to read all the part of a manga, and then we discuss it with friendship, love, and lots of spoilers. I'm Aaron of HappiLeeErin, your host. With me are two of my three lovely co-hosts and a very special guest. Introduce yourselves, please.
Hello, my name is Dodger, and I'm really excited to talk about the manga today, so thanks for being here.
Hola, mi nombre es Luis y estoy aquí en el MangaPod para discutir y hablar de este manga y me alegra mucho, gracias. There should have been subtitles. Should have read them.
No!
It's better without the subtitles.
Go raw.
I'm MissArt. And I'm here to talk about a manga too. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Doki, 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 doki. Thank you for
All them
joining
dokis
us.
in the Kokoro.
Kokoro. We are so happy you came back because we've had you as a guest before, and sometimes guests are just like they don't want to come back because MangaPod's just not the most professional thing in the world, you know. But we're so happy you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have performance anxiety.
I have to talk words.
Yes, if you've never joined us for a MangaPod before, what we do is we give you a short, spoiler-free description, aka summary of the manga that we read. This week we read Boku no Hero Academia chapters 1 through 24. MissArt, our lovely guest, will be reading that summary for us, and then we will give you our spoiler-free recommendations, whether we think you should spend time going to read this manga or not. After that, we'll give you a 5-second countdown. If you decide that you do not want to be spoiled on this manga, you can take your leave at that time, go read it, and then come back and watch the VOD of this on my channel, youtube.com/HappiLeeErin. Goes up immediately after the show. So you can actually, this was a pretty fast read, so you can probably honestly get it read and then watch it immediately afterwards. So let's have MissArt read a description. No, really quick, do keep spoilers out of the chat until we have hit the spoiler section. That way people, they don't want to be spoiled, don't get spoiled. This is the spoiler-safe, spoiler-free zone right now. So please be generous and not spoil stuff.
Indeed. Alright, so Boku no Pico, right? Boku no
Yes.
Pico. Oh, wait.
Perfect.
Boku no Hero.
Yep.
Easy to confuse those two.
Wait, are you saying we didn't read
similar.
Boku no Pico?
Oh, I read.
That's what I read.
Oops.
Somebody read the summary.
Man.
Are you saying I read about child pornography for no reason?
No, we weren't supposed to read about child pornography.
I thought this was clear, guys.
I blame Yoku.
Yeah, Yoku.
Everything's always Yoku's fault.
Not here to defend himself, therefore.
Yoku.
Alright, the synopsis for... Ooh, it's calling me. Stop that. Alright, synopsis.
Chris Hansen is calling.
Perfect timing. Alright, so... People are not born equal. A realization that 4-year-old Midoriya Izuku, I thought you were talking about it was starting as he was 4 years old. That'd be the worst shonen ever. Alright, so at the age of 4 years old, Izuku is faced when bullied by his classmates who had unique special powers. Okay. Izuku was one of the rare cases where he was born with absolutely no unique powers. This did not stop Suzuku from pursuing his dream. A dream of becoming a great hero like the legendary All Might. To become the great hero he hopelessly wants to become, he now will join the ranks of one of the highest rated hero academies in the country, Uego. With the help of his idol, All Might, will he be able to claim the ranks and become a true hero? Oh.
Who knows?
Dun, dun, dun.
Ooh. Thank you for reading that, MissArt.
Lots of female laughing.
That's an
We're
anime.
already 2D.
MangaPod the anime. Thank you so
Let-
much for reading. Let's give our spoiler-free recommendations. Anybody want to go first? I can go first.
Okay.
All right.
I recommend this manga if you like shonen. I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say I was blown away or that it was amazing or the best shonen that I read, but I did have a lot of fun with it, and I think that's mostly its purpose. And I think what it's setting up in the later chapters could become really, really interesting. But so far, it was kind of average for sure, but it was definitely fun, and I really enjoyed the art style and what it's building up to. So I would recommend it, especially if you like battle shonen and like a little bit of a twist, and if you like superheroes. If you're a fan of superheroes, it's definitely one to check out too.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of that and say I absolutely agree with Erin. I had a lot of fun reading this manga. I thought that it was really entertaining. Was it amazing? Absolutely not. But it was like it was just like really fun. The art style is a bit different from what we're used to. Although I feel like the further in that we read, the more kind of conventional it turned. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't sure whether or not I liked that or not. I would say the biggest fault, and this is a pretty big fault for a battle manga, is that there were times when I wasn't entirely sure what was going on, where things got very confusing in the middle of the battle, and I was like, wait, what's happening? Wait, where are we? What's going on right now? And that's something that I hope gets cleaned up a lot later. But I thought the characters were really fun. I really enjoyed it. I was very entertained reading it, so I would definitely recommend it.
I would also recommend it, though I wasn't as sold on it as Dodger and Erin. I thought it was a solid read, but it didn't do enough differently for me to really lose myself in the manga like I've done with some of the other ones that we've read. Especially since I've been reading Magi concurrently with this, because I have to catch up on that because I've been hearing good things about the more recent chapters. So it's just when I compare it to what I've been reading recently, it just doesn't measure up. So
yeah.
It is, it is what it is. It was fun for what it was. If you are looking for something to fill the void, not that the Naruto manga has ended, and you're not really digging the new Naruto manga because it just never dies.
Say ended.
Ended. That part of the story.
Asterisk.
The prologue is ended.
Oh gosh.
Long prologue.
If you're looking for something to fill that void, this should do okay, but you have alternatives. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I feel like I'm more of Blue's opinion as well, as a very big fan of Naruto, and being versed in the big three, and being a Hunter x Hunter fan. I can say that most other fans of those series are going to find something to like in this manga. You're going to see themes that are very popular in shonen manga that transcend all of those series. You're going to find them in here. So if you don't want anything terribly new, but you just want something exciting, as Lou says, to kind of fill the gap, as a lot of these big three titles are starting to wind down, except One Piece, of course. Yeah. One Piece will never end.
One Piece will never end, and Hunter x Hunter will just never continue.
Yeah, sad. That's true.
You just made me really sad. God damn it, Erin.
I'm sorry, it's the truth.
My kokoro. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a battle shonen. Don't take it too seriously. It is what it is. I do, like Erin said, I do feel like there's potential for it to get stronger. I don't think this start was the best start I've ever seen in a manga or a shonen manga, but it's decent, and most fans are going to like it. It's likable. So.
Yeah. Definitely. So there you go. We all do recommend it. So we are going to hop into our spoiler section. This means that we are going to be talking about all sorts of spoilers from chapters 1 through 24. So if you don't want to be spoiled, now is the time to take your leave. We only read up to chapter 24. So in chat, do not post spoilers for anything past chapter 24. You will be timed out, and then you will be banned. If you are on Twitch, if you are on YouTube, then you will just be banned. You'll get a warning, but then you'll be banned, and like it's just really sad. So just don't spoil. Also, don't post like fake spoilers or pretend spoilers, because we won't know the difference, and the mods will just take care of you like if you were actually spoiling something. So please be careful with that. And that said, let's jump into our spoilers section. Countdown, please.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All Might is God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only option. Legitimately only option.
Like out of everybody, come on.
Legit only option. All right, so let's do the question that we usually start with. We usually start with asking, what were your expectations before reading this manga?
I want to go first.
Hit it, Lou.
I've heard a lot of good things about this manga from a lot of people that are in the chapter reviewing community. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are saying this is the next big thing. Keep your eyes on it when it first started coming out. Like as the first few chapters started rolling out. But I didn't pick it up then. I held off on reading it because when it comes to shonen manga, I like to do bulk readings. Like, I'll give you an example. The first time I read Hunter x Hunter, I think I read the first 40 chapters in one sitting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So easy to do with Hunter.
It goes so quick, and that's how I like to experience shonen. And as for whether those expectations were met or not, they definitely weren't. But I could see where people would say that it has the potential to grow, because they are taking the time to lay down the foundation by introducing all their characters early on in the story and starting to develop them early on. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing that groundwork being put in now. So as long as they build off of what they've been setting up, I could see it as developing into a really good series. But it definitely didn't meet my expectations.
It's weird because I'm in a place of feeling like the beginning. This doesn't answer the question really. It's just kind of bouncing off of what Lou said. I was in the place of feeling like, man, the pacing is kind of weird at the beginning. Like, I kind of wished that they had taken their time a bit more. And at the same time, I was like, but what would they have put in there except for like really boring stuff? Like, I was confused what it was about the beginning that felt off to me. And like so what I was expecting from this manga. I was expecting, I'm not sure exactly what I was expecting. I guess because, again, I heard so many good things about it. I was expecting to be like pulled in real hard and to sort of have that I'm submerged in the manga and then I come up for air like at the point that I need to stop feeling, where you're just like, you're in it and then you're like, oh no, I have to stop, right? And I didn't really feel that. Like I said, there were a lot of points in the battle sections where I, like, specifically the fight when all of the villains show up on the training grounds, where I was like, are the pages out of order?
You mean the tuning exam? Because that's kind of what it was like.
Exam,
yeah.
That's what
when
it was.
They were doing the tuning exam, I was like, wait, what is happening? Because it was so all over the place. It just felt like the mangaka wasn't sure how to like jump between different locations and make it clear.
Yeah.
So I would be like, wait, are they all in the same place now? No. Oh, but we're back to the other. I just got so confused. Yeah. The one thing that I was like really excited about from the very beginning was the art felt sort of like almost Jet Set Radio-y. Mm-hmm. Like it had kind of like a graffiti feel to it. And I was like, I like this. It feels like very harsh and sketchy. And like, I hope that sticks. And it felt like the longer that we read, the more it turned kind of conventional. There were things that they stuck with, but it got a lot smoother. And I didn't really want it to get smoother, you know? So, but I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought that it was really fun and I like the characters. It just it didn't grab me the way that like Hunter x Hunter does.
Mm-hmm. I would agree 100% with that. I've heard so many good things about this manga, and shonen is one of my favorite genres. Like, especially battle shonen, there's just something about it that will forever hold a place in my heart, and I will forever love, and just be like, recommend constantly. And so with this one, I was expecting to immediately just, like, get hooked, fall, like, Dodger, like you were saying, just drown in it, and just be like, I need to read more. Yeah. But it really, like, it didn't capture me how I was expecting it to capture me, which kind of bummed me out because I was, like, really looking forward to that. And I think what kind of halted me from really falling into it completely was that I was expecting a little bit more individuality from it. And it felt just way too generic in a lot of parts for me to actually enjoy it as much as, or like be blown away by it and like get engulfed in it, like by Hunter x Hunter or Kuroko or even Naruto. Like beginning of Naruto, like all of that is just something that there's some kind of hook to those, that like the pacing of it, the fighting, all of it just like keeps you wanting to keep reading. And with this, it was really fun to read, but there was just stuff that I was like, okay, I have another chapter I have to read. Like, it wasn't, I want to read the next chapter.
Yeah.
And so my expectations definitely weren't met in that regard. But yeah, like, I liked the characters, I enjoyed them, but there really wasn't, I was expecting something that was a little bit more unique, and I got a lot of the same regurgitated stuff that I found myself thinking, this manga did this better, or this manga did this better, or this manga did this better,
Exactly.
which really detracted from me, like, being able to just fall into it.
No, I completely agree. I echo your guys' sentiments, where there was so much hype. Like, everybody's been looking for the next Naruto or the next Hunter x Hunter. What's going to be the next big thing? And there was a lot of hype behind this series. Like, is this going to be the series? And now there's been other series in the past that have had expectations that also were disappointing, that either got canceled by Shonen Jump or whatnot. So people got really excited when this one started. And okay, I'm really cautious when it comes to new anime. I usually have really low expectations. And knowing that everyone was once again calling this the next big three, I was like, okay, we'll see about that. Can it walk the walk? Can it talk the talk? And so going into it, I wasn't expecting much. And I feel like I didn't get much out of it in return. Like you said, Erin, very generic themes were present in these first 24 chapters that were echoing all of these other immensely popular franchises. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with those hallmarks because they are proven to work. They're very popular among fans. But again, I was reading this and thinking, how is this manga going to stand out in this very big and populated genre? And right now, it's not standing out. It was, okay, now I got to read the next chapter. All right, what chapter am I on? Okay, I still got 4 chapters to go. I wasn't immersed, as you guys said you were. I didn't really have that experience of I am emotionally invested in this story. So, I mean, I feel like maybe the potential is there, as you said, Lou. The groundwork is being built. I feel like this maybe is just an average start to build up to some climax that is just going to make this series rock and roll. But right now in these first 24 chapters, it wasn't really there for me. And I did enjoy the art style a lot. That's what stood out to me the most among the shonen that are popular right now, is that very sketchy, very dramatic style that really captured the extremes of the emotions we kept seeing. So I thought that played really well together, and that was really the only thing that caught my attention. Otherwise, I feel like at this point I'm just sitting here seeing where it's going to go, but I don't feel any emotional connection to much of it.
I think what I think they were trying to go for is by having the main character's vulnerability being tied to his immense strength. I think that's the hook that they were trying to get readers really invested in it, to see, okay, at what point can he strike that balance between managing and controlling his power, but not breaking his arm every time he does something.
It's Captain America, right? It's like the guy who's worked really hard his whole life, is very knowledgeable about what he wants, and then suddenly is given tons of power and is like this really smart, knowledgeable person with a bunch of power that he's not sure how to use, right? It's like that. It's the exact same story, which I'm cool with. I'm totally cool with that, because there have been a few moments in it where I was like, oh, that was smart, kid. You know your shit. Good job. But
there hasn't been anything where nothing has felt, with the characters that we've been giving, nothing has felt out of character from what we're seeing. Like, it doesn't feel like he's overpowered. Like, there is limitations to what he's doing, and he's having to learn how to work around those, which is really neat to see for sure. Oh gosh, I had a question and I forgot what it was. There was one. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
No, my thing that I was gonna say actually wasn't a question. It was just a completely off-topic thing, where I just remembered it.
Yes.
I remembered it. MissArt, you were talking about how like it's really sad when Shonen Jump cancels series that is really good. One thing that I was thinking while I was reading this manga is there's a manga called Stealth Symphony that was canceled after like a year. I think it only had about 25 chapters, and it was so good, and I absolutely loved it, and they canceled it so quickly. And it was just one of those things that, like, as I was reading this, I could see similarities to that, and I was just like, Stealth Symphony did it so much better, and it doesn't exist anymore.
Why? I did hate the point that we stopped at, though.
Yeah, we stopped at
I was like,
real rough.
I want to
point.
know how this shit's gonna go down.
Yeah, I felt like we were getting into one of those big action scenes that we just kind of stopped right at the start of.
Yeah, for
It was
sure.
really sad. It was cliffhanger. It was cliffhanger in the way. It was a weird cliffhanger. Like, we've had cliffhangers in the past with manga that have been, oh my god, I need to read and find out more. And then we've had cliffhangers where it's like, man, I just wanted to wrap that up. I just wanted to know.
I just want to know what happened.
I'm not
man.
super invested. I just wanted to know what happened. And that
It's
was
just basically
the latter.
manga blue balls.
Manga
That's
blue
what it
balls.
was.
I will say if Explosive Kid, I can't remember his name. If Explosive Kid winds up
Kachan.
If Kachan becomes a villain, I'm gonna be so fucking done. It's gonna be like, could you have projected that more? My God.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want that to happen. I just want him to be a good guy through the whole thing and have him be like a super aggressive character.
Oh my
It's
God.
just like,
I just want him to be Deku's angsty friend, and
Yeah.
I want
I want
the
that
guy with
I love that.
the guy with the
OTP.
that would throw the balls. I want that guy to be the villain. Like,
I
was
want
the
that
best.
guy to like evolve somehow and
Yeah.
wind up being like a super badass because he's just like so tiny, just has sticky hair. Like, that's all he's got.
He's just like, I just have balls and stick.
That one panel that Aaron tweeted out. That he's like,
Oh my
I
God,
took
my
a giant
favorite-
dump this morning. They're gonna be stuck together all day.
They're gonna be stuck to my balls all day. People are just like, what?
What?
Exactly.
I did think a lot of the humor was pretty on point. Even like little stuff like I loved how often one of the professors or one of the teachers would say something and everybody would be like, "Oh yeah, this is a school."
Yes.
I liked that.
It was
Like,
incredibly self-aware with its
It was
humor.
aware of itself, yeah. And all of the pages that were describing main characters, like there was always some sort of a goof in there. Like Kachan's was like, his hair is explosive, and his sweat's explosive, and his shirt is kind of explosive, and his pants, he should probably pull those up. Like, just weird stuff like that, where I was like, all right.
Well, if you read like some of like the omakes, you can tell the mangaka is just somebody who like, I don't know, is like just super sarcastic and like also kind of doesn't give a shit at points. And it was just like with Kachan's, what did he say? He said something about how he drew his hair to look like somebody, and he gave him a really happy-go-lucky, encouraging personality, and he's like, and then I realized how dull that was, so I made him an aggressive jerk. I was like, yeah. You can just tell the mangaka just says really
Excellent.
funny things.
Yeah. I like that pretty much every character is like, this personality does not suit a hero at all. You need to tone this down. He's like, you fucking what? I'll do whatever the fuck I want. I'm just like, I love you.
I don't think I've ever seen a shonen manga say fuck so many times.
Yeah.
And it's all because of this one character.
This one kid.
Who is,
And just
even in
random
the title-
boobs too.
Yeah.
That-
That teacher, okay, that was something.
That design on that teacher was,
That teacher,
that was something else.
like, it looked like she didn't have a top covering. It was like, swoop, like
she
that.
didn't.
Then why
She was
didn't
the
There were
18
just no nips drawn on there.
She was the 18 plus.
She needs nipples.
She was the 18 plus hero. That's
Yeah.
that's what they
I know,
refer
I
to
love
as.
that.
She's the
That's
18 plus hero.
the 18, and then she's just like, my tenor is fine, thank you. I will perform
Yeah, then-
how I want.
And then there was the girl who weaves stuff. Has like, they had the electric shock on the stuff, and the only thing that was destroyed was her shirt.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
And
okay.
then one girl's like, yeah, that.
And
misplaced.
Cleverly
cool, just make a
placed
new one.
speech bubbles just right on top of the boob.
Yeah.
Right on the booples.
Right on the boobs. Other than that, like, there has not been any
Hasn't been
fan
super
service. Yeah, there's not really any ecchi at all, which was something that, like, just kind of stood out as we got to the end where I was just like, oh, that's true. Like, I just didn't really know. Which isn't, like, it's definitely in recent years gotten toned down for shonen a lot, where it's not as much of a, like, standard part of it. But it is something that you do notice, where it was just like, oh, wait, that character is drawn actually kind of modestly. There's been no, like, zoom-ins on boobs or butts at all, either.
Yeah. Only Sticky Kid.
Only
Sticky
Sticky
Kid
Kid.
grabs
Sticky
boobs.
Kid
Sticky
grabbed
Kid
the
grabbed
broad lady's boob.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and there was that shot of like the giant lady in the beginning. She like came in ass first.
Yeah.
into the scene.
Oh, the girl
Wait,
with
which
the...
one?
She's like an actual professional superhero.
superhero,
Very
near the beginning.
She comes in when there's a giant destroying the city. And she comes like it's her ass. That's the first thing you see.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I'm reading a shonen.
Oh, yep, there it is. There it is, I'm here. Let's talk about our main character, Izuku Deku. Let's talk about him. What were your guys' thoughts on him?
I thought he kind of looked like Gon at first.
Yeah.
A colored picture of him. I was like, oh, he's just like really geeky Gon.
Like kind of crazy hair.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's
Crazier hair.
super crazy hair.
One thing
big
about
eyes.
Deku I would like to mention, I kind of wish they would have drawn out him being weak and him
Yes.
taking that abuse of him just getting his ass handed to him constantly. That's something that I think would have added a lot more to the story, and I think I would have gotten more out of this character. Like, I feel like he needs that development, which the mangaka later on tries to, add to that by doing flashbacks. But I think that if we would have just taken the time in the earlier chapters to build this character that way, the moments where he gets his powers and you see him finally get admitted into the school, I think it would have been more impactful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was about the beginning that was
Yeah.
weird for me, is that he went so quickly from like,
Zero.
I'm a nothing. I ain't got no quirks.
to like, I'm training with All Might and now I'm a super badass. But remember, I do get nervous sometimes. And I'm like, that's not enough for me. I needed there to be a bigger steep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to agree with that. Like pulling Naruto as an example, like Naruto got his ass handed to him for a good majority of the series. Like
Yeah.
hundreds of chapters, Naruto has sucked as a ninja. But that's what made him relatable. And Louis, you do bring up a good point. Deku's transition to godhood happened very fast
Mm-hmm.
in relation to the story. And yeah, I think maybe that is what is contributing to what kind of set me off the pace
Yeah.
of his character development.
I agree. Like, there's with Naruto and like a lot of the shonen you get at the beginning, there's definitely something that hooks you, that connects you to their character because of their emotional struggle. And I've noticed something that I love about shonen is that there's that character that always has something that they were kind of dealt, like a fate that they were dealt. Like Naruto was dealt the Nine Tails from Rin from Blue Exorcist was dealt being like Lucifer's son. And so it's just like, it's an overarching thing where they're always dealt this kind of fate that they can't control, but they're discriminated against for.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about how they overcome that or how they use that and grow with it. Whereas with Deku's, it was like that same thing at the start where he was dealt this fate that he wouldn't have a quirk, like he wasn't given a quirk, and that's not his fault. Nothing happened with, like, he didn't do anything for that, but it happened to him. But then it was like resolved so quickly that he got it that it just didn't feel as genuine, or as like I couldn't connect to that emotional struggle or like as easy.
You know what might be another thing that contributes to that is that he's displaced from the people he's known, like right off the bat. So like right when he gets his powers and is able to use them, he's in a completely new world with completely new people.
Mm-hmm.
So only Kachan is the one who's like, what is going on with you?
Yeah.
Right? And everybody else is just like, he's Izuku, he's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
And so we don't get that, like, that weird social struggle of people who have been beating him down for so long, like, realizing he's different now.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that sort of a journey like you have in a lot of other shonen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I feel like there might be more to this power that he's getting from All Might. Like there may be a downside to it, and I think that's where the struggle may come into play.
Yeah.
Granted, that's 100% speculation that I'm pulling out of my ass. But I think, given the way shonen are typically written, like Aaron pointed out, there has to be some sort of downside to this massive amount of power that he's gained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Apart from, again, the whole if he punches too hard, he dies.
Yeah. If he punches too hard, his bones break. And that's about it. Yeah.
Do you guys think that it would have been more interesting if, like, he ate the hair, right? and didn't show any power, really? Had to, like, unlock it in himself rather than being able to use it but having it be detrimental to him? Like, both are high risk.
Yeah.
But do you think it would have been more interesting if it was literally the opposite?
I think so. Probably. Because it's like, I enjoy reading that struggle and that, like, I enjoy seeing the character have to work. He's worked hard. Well, actually, he hasn't really. Like, if you think about, like...
We didn't see him work hard.
We didn't see him work
We
hard.
know
it
he
was
did,
a montage, but it's also, like, his entire life before that, he was dreaming, and he didn't give up on his dream, which is a very positive, but he didn't have a quirk. Yeah, he didn't have a quirk, so he couldn't really work towards building that power because it's like you don't have a quirk. What you gonna do? Like literally, medical science is like you can do nothing with it. And so then we got to like he got the quirk, and then we didn't get to really see him struggle or do like work hard for it. It was like a sports montage, and then so getting to actually see him with any sort of little bit more struggle would have been enjoyable. Like, I would have really liked. So
Yeah, Aaron likes seeing people suffer.
I do.
He likes to struggle.
If he could have had everyone around him die too.
That would have been perfect.
If his mom could have died, man, I would have been manga made. It would have been great.
And also, like, there's no the risk is also so much smaller because we also have the teacher who's like, I can heal you, it's cool. So like anytime he hurts himself, I'm like, he's fine. You know, like I'm not concerned about him.
So
to counter
there is an
Yeah. Aaron and I were both thinking the exact same thing.
And then neither of us said it.
There's a limitation as to how much she can heal because all she really does is base her ability off of what he's capable of pulling off himself. Yeah. So it can come to a point where he can die if she goes too far because his body just won't be able to handle it.
Yeah.
I have to agree that, like, the sense of danger, though, in the beginning was definitely very low, like you say, Dodger. The only time I really felt more excited is when, the villain showed up, and it was like, oh, this isn't school anymore, this is the real world, and someone could die, even though nobody did. The fact that someone could have died, I think that made it much more exciting. Because, otherwise it's like, even with the limitation, it's like, okay, there's a very high probability so-and-so is just going to get healed if they go to the old grandma lady.
Yeah.
See, for me, it's not even that. I think what really is putting a hamper on any real threat to any of the characters is All Might because of how badass All Might is. Mm-hmm. Like, All Might saves the day. No one's going to die on his watch or on the watch of the other heroes. Or the staff because...
Until he dies.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for
I'm waiting.
Yeah. It's like, he's a ticking time bomb. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, even with the rest of the teachers are being built up to be like these top tier badasses. And it takes overwhelming odds, like we've seen, for the villains to even measure up against the lesser of the heroes, you know, at least compared to All Might. So
I want the villain boss to literally be that computer. I know that it won't be. I know that it's supposed to be the computer,
amazing.
but I just want it to be literally the computer.
He's typing in Comic Sans! Something I did like that I thought was interesting that I'm really hoping keeps getting built upon it was kind of hinted at, was when the one villain who like has his head in his hands and everything.
Yeah, the hands all over.
Man-child is what they were calling him. Yeah, man-child. When he brought up the idea that violence is violence no matter what side it's coming from, and that it's society who's labeled the villains as actually being the villains. I love that idea. I love going into standard tropes and just like tearing them apart and being like, hey, this is how another way of looking at it. So I'm hoping that's something that keeps getting built up and is actually like, they're not just villains for the sake of being villains. Like, I hope that they do like a fun twist with that. I think would be really cool.
Totally.
I agree.
So, and with going back to Deku and his strength, I do like that he didn't immediately get the power right away, like the full power. Like, there is the limitation of him not being able to use all of it, and the fact that he has to strategize and think through how he can use it without breaking any bones. And so the fact that he's been breaking fingers, or that he broke his legs, like, just the way that he's thinking, okay, I can't go all out because this is going to happen. Like, I need to think of a way right now that I can actually use this to help people. And so he does have to strategize, which I think is really nice to see.
That too.
And I like that he's not just he's not real generic in that he's like, oh, I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to be the best #1 in the world. Like, over just
He's
cocky.
not Naruto?
Yeah, he's not Naruto. He's not a cocky little shit who, like, just constantly gets in trouble. Like, I enjoy that he has a different personality than we see in a lot of shonen protagonists. He's not overly optimistic. He's not overly, like, pessimistic. He's not cocky. He's not annoying. He's not outgoing, but he's not super reserved. He just, like, has a different personality than we usually see, which I really like. And he's not, like, he's mopey, but not in an annoying way. It's not like, he's not overly sad all the time where I'm like, dude, just suck it up. Just suck it up, dude. He's, like, relatable in that sense that the mangaka did a good job with his personality in that he put it to the limit of not, just that line of not being annoying and being sympathetic towards him.
Well, I would say that he is the only character that has gone beyond being fairly one-dimensional.
Yeah.
This is
Like-
very true.
All of the other kids.
Like Anti-Gravity Girl.
Yeah.
Anti-Gravity
is
Girl
so
is,
fucking
like,
boring. I do not like her at
always
all.
kawaii, and then Ichi is like, I'm always smart and strict.
Yeah.
And then Kachan is like, I'm always fucking angry. I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay, like, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's just, I would like to see more.
Yeah, like with other shonens, you see, like, when you have a big cast of characters, there's a lot of shonen that do it really well, where even if you don't get to spend a lot of time with those characters, you still get different shades of personality and just quirkiness. Naruto. I was gonna say Naruto, Bleach has that. Kuroko no Basuke has that. Haikyuu has that. One Piece has it. Hunter x Hunter has it. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of
I think-
really stellar.
I think
series out there.
specifically Naruto has a likeness to this in that it's like a school setting with so many other characters, and I was in love with all of those kids in Naruto.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, I love all of you. Like, you're all little shits, but you're all wonderful, and you have interesting abilities, and, like, in this I didn't really feel that way.
Yeah. I was just like, oh, you're there, or I don't remember your name.
Yeah.
Don't
That's why they all
remember.
have nicknames.
I don't remember what you do.
It's literally
That's so
a
true.
trope to be saying your name wrong, but I still can't remember your name. Oh, God.
Yeah. Yeah, so that makes it like, I don't know, like all the other characters, most of them are pretty all one-dimensional and stuff. So it's like, okay, let's talk about this character. Oh, he's angry. Okay.
Stoic man.
Oh, stoic
strong
man.
guy.
He
Got it.
was stoic here and strong here and stoic and strong over here.
Whoa.
Holy.
Let's talk about All Might. What are your guys' thoughts on All Might? I love him.
Oh, he's so funny.
He reminds me of America from Sam Flam. I can't remember
Yeah.
it's not Captain America. I can't remember his name, the America guy in Sam Flam. He reminds me a lot of, and not even just him, Masayoshi's teacher in Sam Flam too, where it just like appears and says one line. Like it's really but I love the fact that his power makes him, like, when his power runs out, he's just this scrawny dude who's just bleeding from the mouth constantly.
Yeah, he's just coughing up blood all the time.
And it gets to the point later on where but they don't even mention it. Like, he's literally talking and blood is just dripping out of his mouth and they're having a normal conversation.
Don't even
It's just
acknowledge
normal
it.
now.
Don't even acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I again, like little bits of humor. I like that. I think maybe the third or fourth time we saw him, there was mention of like, I feel like your art style doesn't really match. I feel like you don't belong here, because it's really true. Like, his art style is so different from everybody else, but then when he turns into like his smaller, emaciated form, he kind of suits the world more. Which is interesting. Yeah. I like all
When
my.
he's in his when he's in his buff form, it makes me feel like he's like was just cut out of a JoJo's chapter.
JoJo's, yes.
Like, that's exactly what he feels like.
Yes. Or like he feels like something out of One Punch Man too.
Yes. Oh my God. Can we read more One Punch Man?
If you go and look at the schedule for July through December, it's maybe on there. I'm not a spoilers, but it's check it out.
Reddit.com/r/MangaPod.
I also
MangaPod
feel like
2.0.
All Might's, like, the way he was designed, I thought it was also kind of a nod to Western comic superheroes.
Yes.
Like, and the way he was rendered, I thought he was just like a walking parody, which just added to like how crazy his extremes are as a character. And like even the fact, like, when he shouts out super moves, they're just completely ridiculous. They're just like Delaware
Smash. Yeah.
Smash.
Delaware Smash.
I know.
Carolina.
So I really appreciated how he brought that kind of humor again, kind of self-deprecating humor to the series about superheroes.
Yeah.
Which is another thing that, like, another reason why I'm like, I feel like it's going to be a deconstruction of superheroes eventually. Like, I'm hoping that it gets to that point in some way. Because he is so reminiscent of Western superheroes, especially, like, back in, like, the 60s and stuff. Like, just the all-powerful...
Always smiling.
Smiling, very charismatic, just... token, like, just the person people look at and are like, yeah, we're safe, or like peace, like Captain America or Superman, especially Superman, where you look at him and you just feel excited and safe. And so I feel like that's going to become something where they're going to really deconstruct that with the side of the villains.
I hope it moves in the direction of like, all right, at the beginning there's good and evil, and then we hit a point where it's like, who is really good or evil? Do good and evil truly exist? Like,
Moral ambiguity.
yeah.
Moral ambiguity.
It's one of my favorite tropes.
I love it. It's so good.
So good.
So good. Yeah, I love All Might. I liked that at the end we got to see in the battle with the villains, we got to see his thought process of taunting the villains and just being like, or telling them to leave, not taunting them, but just being like, leave, you've definitely been beaten, whereas he was just barely holding on. He's like, this has to work or I'm done for. Like,
I gotta bluff real hard.
I have to bluff. And so we got to see that thought process, and then to have that not work was also really interesting. I really liked that. I like that the battles are just as much about like their strategy about it as it is the actual action. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it's flowing quite as well. It feels way too straightforward and heavy-handed. But there's also times where I think it works really well. And that was one of the parts that I thought it worked well in.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know you kind of talked about, Dodger, you talked about how sometimes the fights were really confusing. What were your guys' thoughts on the action overall, otherwise? Plus that. Any thoughts on action? Fight scenes?
I actually was able to follow it okay. I don't know. It's just the way, as I was reading it, I didn't really have any major issues following it. But then again, I took my time with it, with every panel. Like, I just sat there looking at it, normally I go real quickly through shonen manga, but I sat there and just stared at it, and the transitions felt really natural when you take your time with it. Like, you can't read it as if it's a shonen manga. You have to read it or observe it as if there's more detail in it than there really is. And that's how I was able to keep up with it. I think that if I would have gone through it quickly, I wouldn't have been able to make any sense of anything.
Yeah, when I was reading it, it felt like it was jumping all over the place in that one section. And I was like, I don't know if like the pages, like I said, if the pages are in the wrong order or if I'm just like missing it, like missing the transitions. I felt like the very first test that they did, the like teams of two, that battle, that was really easy to follow.
Yeah.
And I liked that section a lot, again, because so much focus on it was on strategy. It was like, look, you can blow up this building, but that's really stupid. You know?
Yeah.
And I liked that they went through. That's probably the biggest virtue in this manga for me, is that they go through thought processes with everybody, and like you can tell who is good at strategy and who isn't really, you know?
Definitely. I mean, I felt like I was able to follow the action pretty well. There were some pages where I could move quickly, but in general, I tended to get bogged down by looking at the art. Well, maybe that's just because I do art. I'm an artist, but I thought the way he was rendering, the mangaka was rendering the action scenes, was very on par of what established mangaka and bigger franchises are doing. I think he's doing pretty well. I think if I had to grade it, I'd probably give him, in terms of rendering, maybe an A- or a B+. Like, it's there, but again, there were times when I think it was just the panels and the combination and the composition of the pages that felt not quite there. But the art style was there, and I enjoyed how the exaggerations and all
that's the thing is,
accelerated the action.
The art is so clean looking that it was baffling me that I was getting confused. I was like, how am I getting confused when it's so clear in each panel what's happening? But from one panel to the next, I was like, wait.
I would have to, if I would venture a guess, I would have to say it's how exposition was introduced during the fights that maybe was muddling how the actual panels were being interpreted.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if you're reading a couple panels that have exposition that's specific to one fight, and then you're transitioning into another fight that has nothing to do with the exposition you just read, it's gonna throw you off.
Naturally.
Yes. Yeah, it was very, instead of there's a lot of times where I wish they had just let the strategy and the action play out itself and then come back and said, this is what happened, or just like not had been so heavy with the exposition about it. Like it was a lot of times what confused me was it felt like it was a little bit too much telling and not enough just showing with it.
Yeah.
And so like because of that, like none of the battles, while there were some that I was like, oh yeah, that moment was really cool, there wasn't a lot of times where I was like, oh, this is so intense. It was just it was just, okay, this happened, and we're done. Like I was never emotionally invested into the characters fighting, and then I was also never emotionally invested into the actual fights themselves. Which with battles, like, it might sound silly to be like, I was not emotionally invested in that fight, but the fight has to get your heart pounding. Like, it has to draw you in some way. And with this, there was never anything enticing about it. It was just like play by play, broken up by exposition that felt really out of place and like just took me out of it. Like,
and even like with All Might, I was like, All Might's probably gonna die here, and I didn't feel like upset about it in the slightest. So I was like, oh, this is probably where All Might's gonna die, and then give Izuku like even more of a reason to be a hero. And like it was very, I was like deconstructing it. I didn't like care that much about whether or not All Might was gonna die.
Yeah. Which is really weird because I like him as a character.
Me too.
But it's like I don't know. It's really weird to be like, okay, I wish that this didn't have this shonen trope, but that it had this shonen trope. But there's a lot of shonen that take those tropes and still do them really well. Like, even if you're expecting the death of somebody, it can still be written in a way that pulls out every single emotion that you're supposed to feel about it. Like, you can still cry about somebody dying that you were expecting to die. With All Might, it's like, oh, he's probably gonna die, and I feel nothing. Like, there's nothing there, and there's not really any character like that in this entire thing that could get killed, and I would be like, no, not that person. Like, and I can name the top. I can name off the top of my head.
Ball guy. Don't kill ball guy.
Don't kill ball guy. Don't kill ball guy. I can name off the top of my head from like other shonen where characters had died that maybe I was expecting them to die, and I still felt because of how written the characters' reactions were to that death, or like just how that character was written. And there's all these characters are just so not emotional, like I'm not emotionally attached to anybody that it's just
they
like
need more development.
Yeah.
All of them are pancakes. It's like, oh,
they're all pancakes.
I need syrup because I would care more. Yeah, even if he probably is going to die. When he dies, Deku's going to cry. But other than Deku, I mean, we only have partial development with his character. I don't care if anybody else cries. I'm barely going to care when he cries.
Yeah.
I swear, I would not be surprised if they do that over the headshot where he's like screaming in the sky.
No! Can I just?
It's gonna happen. Like with tears streaming down his face when All Might finally dies.
Danusta in the chat just said, "Are you sure you wouldn't feel anything if All Might died? I'd certainly feel mighty sad."
Stop.
I was just like. But yeah, like it's just it's hard to think about that. Even with the Eraserhead, when Eraserhead's like was getting real beat up, I was like, no, not Eraserhead. But at the same time, like, I don't really care that much about you. It just looks sad. It just looks painful.
Too, so I was okay with it.
I do like that he sleeps in a sleeping bag at any possible moment, which I think is everyone's goal, isn't it?
I know.
Right. Just be able to do that at work.
It reminded me.
I like Eraserhead.
I like him. Yeah, I like him. I just don't feel anything else about him. It's so weird. How can we be like, I like this character, but I don't care at all. I'm not invested in them. Yeah.
No, I like their Eraserhead specifically. I enjoy because of like little things like how nobody remembers that he's a hero. Like people, like all of these reporters see him and they're like, "Who's that guy?"
Yeah,
Did
nobody cares.
the villains do that too?
The villains too. They were like, there's supposed to be All Might, and then number 13, and then who's that guy? He's supposed to be whatever. Like nobody cares. Yeah. And I kind of love that because he's been very upfront about not wanting people to know who he is. So I'm kind of like, oh man, you've been working at this for a while to be like totally off the grid.
Yeah. And I do like something I'm interested to see is the part of him wanting Deku to announce who he is at the sports festival. That I thought was interesting. That makes me excited. I'm like, ooh, what's Deku gonna do?
Yeah, with his actions.
He's got to go against the Neji Hyuga of the series.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Our Ice Kid is Neji Hyuga.
Yep. He totally is.
And Danusta pointed out that Eraserhead is basically Kakashi.
Yeah, pretty much.
Kakashi was a bit more like lively, I want to say.
Yeah. I can see Eraserhead is like Akashi
Akashi cracker.
Wrong anime.
Every time that it's somebody called the main character Midoriya, I thought that it was said
Midorima.
Yeah,
I did the same thing.
Dude, the smart kid with glasses reminded me so much of Midorima. Like just like if you took Midorima and just like took away all of the seriousness about him, it was just like there he is.
Yep.
I didn't even realize. I got real into talking about this. I didn't even realize that we're coming up on an hour already. So let's wrap up. Does anybody have any other thing they would like to talk about? Otherwise, we'll do final thoughts and ratings.
No.
All I would say is like, I guess this could be my final thoughts and ratings, but I'm gonna keep reading it. Like I'm interested enough to keep reading it. Mm-hmm. So for whatever that's worth.
Is that your final thought?
No, I was trying to say it as like separate from my final thoughts and ratings, but then I realized it could kind of be involved, so I tried to keep it brief so that it wasn't. And
we're already there, so we might as well. So Dodger, what's your score?
I'll give it. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I really liked the art. But it didn't grab me, and I feel like it has the potential to grab me, and just something's not quite there. So I'm gonna give it a 7. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna keep reading it because there's a lot of elements that I like. It's just it's not swallowing me like Naruto or One Piece. I'm not like drowning in it, and I like that feeling of drowning in a shonen manga. You know, that feeling of just like I read 100 chapters somehow. Like that's such a great feeling when you get so invested. Yeah, I love it, and I haven't had that happen yet, but I don't know. Yeah. Maybe it could happen. So
yeah, I'm gonna give it a 6. Oh, I have to do my thing. I'm gonna give it a 6.5767. Because for me personally, it was just above average, barely above average. Like, it has a lot of, like Dodger said, a lot of elements that I really enjoy and I love reading, but it just hasn't come together in a way or done enough unique things for me to feel super invested in it or hooked. And all of the characters are, while likable, not super engaging so far. And so there just hasn't been the hook that really has drawn me in or like made me be like, oh, I can't stop reading. But I am interested to keep reading it because there's only like 50 chapters out right now, I think. And I think it has a lot of potential, especially around where we stopped. It could be leading up to some really cool things. But based on just what we read, I really liked the art. I thought it was really enjoyable, like really cool and different from what we usually see. And I really liked that part of it. I enjoyed Deku, the main character. I liked All Might, and their relationship. And so I'm really interested to see where it's going. But what we read was just above average for me. So
I'm going to give it a 6.2 out of 10. The reasoning behind that is, while I appreciate a lot of what it was able to do in terms of its design sense and the world it was trying to build, it really fell short in terms of how it built its characters, how it went about setting up the story. We haven't even been introduced to a real central plot outside of Deku developing into a hero. I feel like there needs to be more than that. Naruto wanted to be the Hokage, but that wasn't always the focal point of the story. It was always in the background. In this case, Deku's goal is to be a great hero, but what is the actual goal? What needs to be accomplished to achieve that goal? And not seeing that at this point in the manga, I guess it's understandable, and that's why the score didn't go lower. But I fully expect it to develop its sense of purpose within the next set of chapters, which I'm not going to go out of my way to read. If it ends up on the MangaPod schedule, I have no complaints. I will gladly read it. But yeah, this isn't a series that I'm gonna go forward with because I don't think I need to. At least not yet. I'll wait for more to be out before I make that decision.
Well, if I had to rate it, I would give it a 6.5. Again, basing that off of the fact that it is average. It's not bad, it's not great, it's right there in the middle, but it has potential, so that's why I gave it the 0.5, because I think it could go somewhere. It could go somewhere, but right now, it's not standing out from the crowd. It needs more character development, everything we've discussed, even the setting. I know it's in Japan. We don't know when in Japan, sometime in the future, but in all the other really popular shonen, the setting itself is an integral character. It's an integral part to the story, and even that is very underdeveloped. And I think that's also contributing to why we're not feeling that hook. So I think it could go somewhere, especially with the art being so solid. But I mean, I think I'm going to side with Lou here and say I'll maybe check back on it later when there's more chapters and maybe perhaps when the story has taken a turn. But right now, I don't feel emotionally compelled to keep reading. So those are my thoughts.
Actually, yeah. As like a final thing, building off of what you just said, if we had seen at the beginning, like how people use their quirks for like mundane activities, like who's the guy that does the garbage disposal? Who's the guy who runs the convenience store? Like how do, because 80% of the population, like that's a lot of people, right? So like these abilities and these quirks would have become part of like the society and the universe, and we didn't see any of that. I think that would have been like really interesting.
I agree.
Yes.
Definitely.
For sure. Somebody on the YouTube chat said something that reminded me of something I wanted to say and completely forgot about. The art, a lot of the art reminded me of Shaman King. Shaman King was something.
Shaman King!
That was, as I was reading it, I was like, this art reminds me of Shaman King. And then and I completely blanked on it until somebody on YouTube said it. And I was like, oh, yes!
You're right.
Just adding.
Holy, I haven't thought about Shaman King in years.
I think about Shaman King randomly when I look, because I have the first, like, half of the series or something on DVD. And so sometimes I'll randomly see it and I'll be like, Shaman King. And then I'll start singing Oversoul. And David's like, what are you doing?
Don't mind me.
Don't mind me.
I'm just over here being a huge weeb. Don't worry about it.
That's who you're married to. You know that.
You should have seen this coming. All right, well, that wraps up our discussion on Boku no Hero Academia chapters 1 through 24. We recommend you checking it out and like developing your own opinion on it for sure. I'm going to go ahead and read the description for the manga that we're reading next week, and everybody in chat gets to guess what it is. I'll give you a little bit of a hint. We have already read this manga numerous times on MangaPod, but I'm looking forward to reading more. All right. This is a story about the flow of fate and the battle to keep the world on the right path. Blank is a boy who set out to explore the world after being trapped in a room for most of his life. His best friend is a flute with a djinn in it named Blank. Soon enough, Blank discovers he is a blank. A magician who chooses kings, and he was born to choose kings who will follow the righteous path, battling against those who want to destroy fate. Follow his adventures as he meets others from 1001 Nights like Blank, and fights to keep the balance of the world in check.
The Patty McBee got it.
Woo! 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 Yes, we're reading Magi. Magi, 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 I don't know. Magi. People, no matter how I pronounce it, somebody yells at me that I'm wrong, so.
True. I think we all pronounce it differently on the show, too, which just makes it even better. We're like, oh my god, they don't even agree amongst themselves. How's
like, what gonna be? So
one of us has got to be right.
Somebody. I'm sure, I mean, every time I say it, people are like, no, that's the wrong. And I'm like, I don't know what the right way is. We'll never know. So we are reading Magi next week, volumes 11 through 15, chapters 99 through 147, and we will be joined by the wonderful For Neverworld for that. Magi is one of his favorites, so it should be super duper fun. All right, let's go ahead and go around and shout out our stuff super duper fast. I am Erin of HappiLeeErin. I do anime-related content on YouTube, which includes reviews and first impressions and vlogs and whatever nonsense I feel like talking about. It's always going to be anime-related for the most part, unless it's mental health awareness-related and something else. You can also find all of the previous MangaPods hosted on my channel. If you want to go back and check out the previous 93 episodes of this, if you want to check out the previous Magi episodes, they are all on their own as well. Just search Magi so that you can watch those, prepare yourself for the next one and stuff. So that's me.
Yeah.
Oh, though social media everywhere is HappiLeeErin. It's pretty easy.
Unified branding.
Unified. Boom. Made it confusing by putting 3 E's in it, but at least it's all the same.
Hi guys, I'm Dodger. You can find me on youtube.com/pressstart to continue. I play dating sims and visual novels, butt-touching games of all sorts. And I also do a gaming news show once a week and discussion videos about the gaming industry in general. So if that sounds interesting to you, I would love it if you would come and hang out. I stream on twitch.tv/dexteritybonus, which might be where you're watching this show right now. And on all the social medias, I'm at dexbonus, DEXBONUS. So thank you guys so much for watching.
My name is Lou, and I'm from Sitting by the Window Anime Reviews. You can find me at youtube.com/SBTW Anime Reviews, where I just talk about weeb trash. That's it. You can find me on Twitter at SBTW Anime Review, where I talk about more weeb trash. And you can ask me about weeb trash on my Ask FM. All of these are in the links in the description on the YouTube video. And that's it. That's me.
All right, well, I am MissArt, and thank you guys for having me on this lovely MangaPod episode again. I appreciate it. You can find me on my YouTube channel. I think there's a link in the description as well, where I mostly right now I've been talking about the new Naruto side story that's been going on. So if you're interested in those chapters, you can find them there. And sometimes I talk about books, and sometimes I talk about art. And follow me on Twitter at ArtsyAlley or Tumblr, ArtsyAlley, Instagram, ArtsyAlley, Ask.fm, ArtsyAlley. So you notice a trend here.
Unified branding!
Yeah, branding! Yeah, thank you guys again. It was fun talking with you about Hero.
Thank you so much for
thanks for
coming
joining
on.
us.
You're awesome, as always.
Gracias, Ali.
Shucks.
You
Thank
like-
you. De nada, Lou.
Yeah, and you'll be joining us next schedule, too, I believe.
Yeah. Akatsuki no Yona.
Yeah. Of course, yes, Akatsuki, we could not have anybody else but yourself for that one.
I've been debating. I'm gonna have my Yona cosplay done.
Oh,
Do it.
awesome!
Yes.
I'll show up as Yona. I will represent.
Yes, do it!
New guest requirement. Everyone has to
They have to cosplay
someone.
someone.
Always cosplay.
That's the new rule.
I am always said if it's Kuroko. I'm always said.
Yeah, we've got Kuroko down,
Good.
so
Forever.
forever.
Pregnant Kisei.
Pregnant Kisei. Yep. Anime Expo. Pregnant Kisei. It's gonna be so good. Because there are like no other pregnant anime characters ever.
Well, Kushina was pregnant in Naruto.
She's the only one I could think of. When I was trying to think about pregnant anime characters, she was the only one.
I can't really.
That
think
girl
of-
from School Days. Let's
No,
not talk about School
no,
Days.
no,
No.
never, no,
Nope.
Nope. Stop there.
nope. Thank you all so much for joining us for this MangaPod. If you would like more MangaPod, we have a Hummingbird group. If you search MangaPod Book Club on Hummingbird, you'll be able to find that. And we also have a subreddit, reddit.com/r/MangaPod, where we have all of the schedule for the end of the year up on there, as well as a recommendation thread, so you can go and post your recommendations. Even though we already have everything scheduled through the end of 2015, we will be making the new schedule for the beginning of 2016, not soon, but you should put your recommendations in there anyway, so we can come back and look at them when we decide to go and do that. You can also post anything MangaPod related on there. We love reading your guys' like threads and stuff like that. It's really fun, so please keep the community interaction up. We love seeing it. We will be here same time, same place, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time next week here on twitch.tv/dexteritybonus, as well as youtube.com/HappiLeeErin. Keep a look on our Twitters for the links to everything. We'll be reading Magi volumes 11 through 15. I was like, this is a harder one. Like, the last few have been like chapters 1 through 30. This one is volumes 11 through 15, chapters 99 through 147 with For Neverworld. We hope that you guys will join us, and we hope that you're having a fantastic day, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye!
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye!
Later.
Bye-bye!